That's twice in a week. No, twice in 2 weeks that I have nailed getting on at 7:00:00. I love being on time. So I've done it 2 times, 2 weeks. How is everybody? I thought I'm on holiday, by the way. So the surroundings are different and I'm in a different place. And it's probably going to be a shorter video for a couple of reasons. We've ordered a curry, so that's coming. And the second reason is because I'm spending, it's our last evening with our friends, so I'm going to go and spend the time with them. And we obviously, I'm literally looking out a window here, and I don't know if you can see, but there is a hot tub jacuzzi. So I'm going in that in a bit. Now, hope everybody's good. I don't expect to have too many people in on a Friday night because I expect everybody's out and about. But what I thought I would do is touch on a subject that gets talked about a lot in when I coach by the athletes that I coach, and that is weight loss and how to do it, and sometimes why it doesn't happen, and what you can do to facilitate that and give you some ideas. Let's see who's in. Eric and Mike and Ryan, how you doing? Just what you were looking for, weight loss special. Good. Well, I hope I can help, Mike. So the reason that I thought I would do this is, the last couple of weeks and months, I've a few of my athletes, it's been a conversation that we have quite often, and that is, how come I'm not, so we'll start with the start. How come I'm not losing weight now that I'm training, or not losing as much weight as I want to? So it's a bit of a two-pronged attack. Who else is in? Oh, Ricardo, how you doing, buddy? And Powell and Steve. Yeah, all good. Thank you, guys. And Powell, yes, I do. So weight loss. 2 reasons. First of all, and the most obvious reason that I'm sure everyone knows, but it needs to be verbalized, and that is that when you start exercising properly, your body, yes, is going to start dropping your adipose, which is fat, but it is also going to start growing muscle, and muscle is twice as heavy, twice as dense as fat. So the weight changes, your mass changes. So the weight stays the same, the mass changes, because actually what you're doing is you're dropping fat, but you're increasing muscle mass. And therefore, on the scales, you're not seeing a difference. And that can be frustrating to people at the start when they're training, because they want to see this real tangible benefit for the training, like shifting weight. But it doesn't happen immediately, but you don't need to panic. That's my first message. You don't need to panic with these types of things, because you will be getting fitter, you will be dropping fat, you will be gaining muscle. And the beautiful thing about that relationship as well is muscle in general increases your metabolism. It burns energy faster, so your metabolism has to go higher. So you're therefore burning more fat, or more energy and fat in the day in general. So the more muscle you have, the more energy you're burning through the day, and your fat loss will be increased. So I hope that made sense. I mean, it made sense in my head, but it hopefully makes sense that, the trade-off is a good one, put it that way. But the other reason that you might not be seeing weight loss in your training journey when you're right at the start, you might be seeing some, but not as much as you want, is because, to put it bluntly, it's because it's diet, and your diet might not be on point. So your training might be good and you might be ramping up training, but diet, I'd say 75% of weight loss is just tweaking your diet to something more healthy. But what I am not saying is to go on a diet, because I really genuinely don't believe in those. I don't believe in completely restricting calories to the point that you're just hungry all of the time. Especially if you want to train, you just can't train effectively being hungry all the time. Your body is just always playing catch up. So we're going to talk about ways that we can tweak our diet to be healthier in general. Can I go over there and do it? I am still talking to people. Hi, my box. And actually, people in the background. So when we're at our friend's house here, and they might be able to chip in with some stuff. Sorry, it won't be long. Anyway, so we're talking about. Am I back on? Can someone let me know if you can see me and hear me before I start banging on? Okay, I am back. Good. So tweaking the diet. So rather than going on a diet, it's about changing your diet to something more healthy. For example, in November, I don't know if you've seen the video that I did, but I restricted my sugar intake. And we were talking the other day, all of us here, and we think sugar is actually a really big thing that for most of us, it's a go-to when we're hungry. Our body makes us crave something sugary because it needs that instant energy. And I think that if you can go some way to restricting your sugar intake, then that actually, more than most things that you could do, would have the biggest immediate benefit. And then all you need to do really is you need to start thinking about changing and tweaking your diet to suit what you're doing. So if you are exercising, you're going to still need carbohydrates, but at the same time, you're the right types of carbs. So we're thinking about, rather than processed carbohydrates like potato waffles or oven chips or pizzas, we're starting to think about sweet potato or baked potato, jacket potato, or brown rice. So they're less processed, less refined carbohydrates. And that's just an easy tweak, right? For me, that's an easy change. Let's see if anybody else is asking any questions before I go off down in a rabbit hole. Hi, Richard from New Zealand. Alex is in. Cliff, you've put on a few pounds over lockdown. I wouldn't worry. I think a lot of people have. Powell's lost 18 kilograms, but can't lose the last 3 kilograms. As in last 3, not the last 3 kilograms you have. You're not 3 kilograms in weight, right? That's what I'm assuming. You mean you have a target in mind that you want to lose, and you need those last 3 kilograms. So just listen up, and hopefully I'll be able to give you something. Like I say, I'm not a nutritionist, but I should be able to help at least change your thinking in some aspects of diet. But I'm not an expert, but these are just the things that I've learned. Pizza every day sounds like a good diet. Yeah, potentially. I'd say it's a diet, but I wouldn't say it's a good diet. Let's have a look. So I'm all back. Okay. Yes, good. So other things to consider might be, for me, I was recommended if you don't necessarily you don't eat too much, for example, fish or nuts. I can't eat nuts because I have an allergy, and fish I can't eat because I've been broken by my mum feeding me cod liver oil when I was a kid. So I can't eat that. So I've been recommended to take cod liver oil tablets and turmeric, which are all anti-inflammatories, which help with the training. That doesn't necessarily help with weight loss, but we're talking about an overall picture here of things that you can do with your diet to benefit what you're doing with your training. Other things that you could definitely do. When I spoke to a friend of mine, Mel, she's just done a PhD in nutrition, in child nutrition, but she said people often ask her, what type of things could you do to have a healthier diet to lose weight? And she said, I just tell everybody to eat more broccoli. That's her go-to, is just eat more broccoli, because it's fantastic for you. And obviously it's your vitamins and minerals. It's rather than carbohydrates, rather than fat. So, but I think her message is really vegetable in general. So a nice balanced diet. The other thing is portion sizes, and that's something that Mary and I really struggle with. It's my fault, but growing up with my dad, my portion sizes are absolutely enormous, and I'm very lucky that because I train hard and I have a naturally high metabolism, I can keep it off. But it's something that you may want to look into, is what is the correct portion size for what you're eating, because I think a lot of people eat a lot more than they actually need, and it's not through wanting to, and it's not through it's not through necessity. It's just we don't know what the actual portion sizes should be. That's a big thing. So you need to look into how much of each food you have on your plate, because your body probably needs less than you think it does. And I eat a lot of food, and I probably don't need that much, if I'm really honest with myself. And it's a battle, because we all like food. Is that our food? That's exciting, though. We've ordered a curry. Here's me talking about diet plans, and we've ordered a curry. But you are allowed, this is my next point, what you can do is you can have a really good, solid diet, really healthy throughout the week, and give yourself a cheat day, which is essentially what we've just done today. So I've ordered a chicken Rogan Josh with pilau rice and Bombay potatoes, and that is my treat for treat day. We had an ice cream. So the other way that you can do it is by treating yourself, is by working hard on the diet throughout the week and then treating yourself. I think even The Rock has a treat day where he goes nuts on pizza and ice cream and everything. Let's have a look. Is too much fruit bad, Kane? No, I don't think it is. I mean, it can turn into a laxative if you eat a lot of some fruits, but I think from what I've heard, the acid can affect your teeth, but don't quote me on that, because I think you would have to eat a tremendous amount of fruit for that to be the case. I think actually fruit is very, very good for you. So I would definitely recommend eating as much fruit. I mean, I eat as many apples as I can in a day when I'm at work. So Powell went from 105 to 88 kilograms doing weightlifting and cardio and the road to 10K, and you definitely hit a plateau. So you eat broccoli and chicken every lunch for the last 4 months. So trying to eat roughly 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day. Yeah, that's, I mean, what we recommended 2,500 calories, is it, for men? So you're trying to put yourself into that calorie deficit, which is certainly a way to lose weight. You just have to be careful when you're training as well. When you're training hard, your body actually needs the calories. And like I say, building muscles is a process. So when you build muscles, you are actually increasing your metabolism naturally, because your muscles burn more fuel than fat does. So just remember that as well. We'll talk about what type of training that you can do to really focus on fat burning as well, which is we'll move on to in a second. So Cliff, how much carbohydrates do you need for running? Well, it's difficult to say, Cliff, if I'm honest. I don't know the exact answer. All I know is I eat a lot of carbs because I do a lot of exercise, and there are people that exercise a hell of a lot more than me. And some do eat a lot of carbs and some don't, and some get away with it and some don't. But my advice as a non-nutritionist but coach is carb up. Like, eat carbs if you want to train, not if you're not training, because the body will take them in and store them as energy, and then eventually you'll have too much and it will change it to fat, and that's how the body works. But if you're training hard, then absolutely you need to eat a lot of carbs. But I can't give you an exact amount, and I would steer clear of myself doing that, because like I say, I am no expert. No, I'm not eating my curry yet. Don't worry. They're setting it up, so they're all. I know. You can start plating up. Everyone's like, go and eat your curry. No, we'll keep it warm. So the other thing that I was recommended, if you want to go down the route of like just shocking your body up, change it, if you want to go through a plateau, is fasting for 13 hours, but it can be overnight. So if you eat your last meal at 7 o'clock in the evening, then you just have to wait until 8 o'clock the next morning until you eat. And that is actually a good way of shocking your metabolism, shocking your system, and possibly getting through any plateaus that you found in weight loss or training. So you could think about that. You could increase the amount of fasting, but again, we have to be very careful, because we want to be taking carbohydrates on board, because when your body gets too hungry, what it starts to do is break down its go-to food is protein. So it starts to break down the thing that gives it protein, which is muscle. So there is a balance here, that fasting and getting super, super hungry and doing that regularly, your body is actually using muscle more than it is fat. Whereas when we train, we use fat. So be careful on that front. I say that to anyone that doesn't have breakfast. It's actually not sensible, because breakfast kickstarts the metabolism, and it doesn't have to be a big breakfast, but it kickstarts the metabolism. And then throughout the day, your metabolism is higher. It's burning more energy, and therefore you're actually reducing your calorie. You're increasing calorie deficit throughout the day. Whereas if you don't have breakfast at all, then you don't kickstart your metabolism. You don't start. And if your body gets hungry, it starts to eat the protein from the muscles rather than the fat that it has stored, because it uses that for low intensity exercise instead. So Alex, yeah, I agree. Huge believer in balance. So rare cheat days, but balance your meals. Don't go overboard, and you know, certainly don't go for these liquid diets and things like that. If you're on this channel, if you're watching this channel, it's probably because you're training. So I wouldn't recommend that. For dramatic weight loss, it can work, but I don't think you could train off the back of it as well. So Uma started running in February, couldn't run 3 kilometers without stopping, started fasting and kept running. In 3 months, she lost 14 kilograms and never felt better. Okay, so interesting. What type of fasting have you done, Uma? Let me know. Because the last bit that I will say is that when we run, we use different energy sources. When we run, we use different energy sources depending on the intensity we're running at. So when we say base running, aerobic running, then we're metabolizing fat rather than glucose, which is what we use when we go harder. When we run harder, our body breaks apart the carbohydrates that it's had in the body and uses the glucose for energy. So the reason that we train easy zones is that we then burn fat. So heart rate training is great for that. And another thing that you could do is potentially, and what I have done is, you can do fasted training, fasted runs, fasted rides. The first, when you get up in the morning, the first thing you could do before you eat is go out for an easy run. I wouldn't suggest doing an interval session or a hard session. That's different. But you go for an easy run. And because you're keeping it in the low zones, because you haven't eaten and the body can't use the carbohydrates from the food that you've eaten that morning, it will start to metabolize fat because you're in the low zones, you're in the easy zones. So that's an option, a fasted training session in the morning. So Meeks is in. Let's have a look. 4K here, started in March. So Mike's having a chat with Uma. Excellent. Keep chatting, guys. That's really good. And Ricardo, it is really hard to train slow. I think I spoke to you about it the other day. I tell everyone that you have to feel guilty while you're training. If you want to train in the low zones, you have to genuinely feel guilt because everyone wants to push harder than they should do. And if you feel guilty, you're probably running at the right pace. So the only major changes to your diet was that you removed sweets and breads from your diet and 3 meals a day to 1 to 2 meals a day. Okay, interesting. So the sweets and bread, brilliant. 1 to 2 meals a day, if it works for you, that's great. And I'm absolutely not saying that you should or shouldn't do that. That's not my place to do that. But I certainly wouldn't be able to survive without 3 meals a day with the training that I do. And you need to think about that if you want to continue training and keep going up the levels. You're not going to be able to get away with 1 or 2 meals a day on training harder and training longer. Fasting increases your insulin sensitivity, which will enable you to use glycogen more efficiently. Nice, Alex. Oh, because you're a type 2 diabetic. Very, very wise. That's very true, though. And it was Ramadan. Okay, so yeah, you have to fast in Ramadan, right? As I understand it, you're only allowed to eat when the sun is down. Is that right? And I've taught a few children going through Ramadan, and it's their first kind of introduction to it. So they're allowed to drink in the day if they're thirsty, but eventually then it will mean that they don't actually eat or drink during any daylight hours. And of course, as Ramadan moves through the year, each year it changes, doesn't it? And so it must be absolutely hideous in the summertime. That's a long time to fast. So fair play to you. So yeah, just reading some comments, making sure that I'm answering everything that is being asked. You're doing well on the 5th week of the 5K plan and graduated well. So before sunrise to after sunset is how Ramadan works. Amazing. I'm in awe of people that do that, and it is fantastic to be able to do that. It's and it's very humbling because the purpose of Ramadan is very good, isn't it? It's to humble yourself. Like there's a really good purpose behind it, as I understand it. So fantastic. Okay, I can smell my curry, and hopefully I've just given you some tidbits that might help. I don't know, but we'll keep this one short. If you've not subscribed to the channel, then have a think about it. No hard sell from me, no pressure, but this is a channel that is dedicated to helping people on their journey, wherever they're at with running, to get started or to go through plateaus or to get to their top level and fulfill their potential. And that's what I'm all about, and that's what I will always be about. And I will try each week to just empty my brain of things I know to be able to help other people and learn while I'm doing it, like I am learning from you in here, learning from Alex and anyone that's commenting. So it's a community. And if you haven't joined the Facebook group, then we have a group that is growing every day. It's called This Messy Happy Running and Triathlon, and it's just a group where we can share things that inspire us, ask questions, just share our own training for encouragement. So if you want to get on board with that, then it is on Facebook, and you will be able to find it. I also have a page, and you should be able to find it through the page. Anyway, curry time. You're right, Cliff. It is curry time. Let's just answer Franny's question. You have about 7 pounds you want to lose for your goal weight. Will losing this relatively small amount of weight improve your running speed at all? Yeah, it should do. But it's all linked, Franny. It could well improve your running speed, but what it will also improve is your the way you feel about yourself, which will improve your running speed. It's all connected. So all of those things that we can do safely rather than dramatic weight loss to improve physically but also mentally, then we're creating this version of us that we want to be, our best version of us. That's the key. Okay. To humble oneself. Yeah, thank you. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought, and that's great. So that is Ramadan, is to humble oneself. Okay. On that note, I'm going to go and eat my cheat day meal, have my curry, and I'm making the video this week is about my holiday here and how ways you can train on holiday and why you should train on holiday as well. It's a way to keep myself ticking along. Curry time. See you all soon. See you Sunday for the video, and next Tuesday will hopefully be the 10K training plan with PDF and links to all of the strength and conditioning and everything. See you soon.